Over the past week, I've watched a public conversation unfold around a senior academic, Professor Jason Arday. I'm not going to discuss the allegations. I'm not going to tell you who's right or who's wrong. That's for the appropriate processes to determine. Instead, I want to talk about something different. What happens to a person when their professional reputation becomes the subject of public discussion? What happens when thousands of people, most of whom have never met you, begin debating your competence, your credibility, your character? Because this is bigger than one individual. This is about the psychological cost of living under continual scrutiny. Well, hi and welcome. My name is Natasha Williams, and I am the researcher behind the cost of Black excellence. When I started researching what I call the excellence tax, I expected people to talk about discrimination. They did. I expected people to talk about progression. They also did that. What surprised me was something else. They spoke about fear, not the fear of hard work or responsibility, fear that one mistake would define them. One participant told me they checked every email several times before pressing send. Another replayed meetings in their mind for hours afterwards, wondering whether they had said too much or too little. Others described feeling permanently visible. Every decision felt significant. Every interaction felt like an assessment. That is exhausting. Organizations often measure workload in hours. How many meetings, projects, how many deadlines? My research suggests there's another workload: the mental effort required to manage how you are perceived. Monitoring your language, monitoring your behavior, thinking about your decisions, how your decisions might be interpreted, preparing more thoroughly because you believe the margin for error is smaller, anticipating questions before they're asked. That invisible work consumes attention. It consumes emotional energy. It follows people home. It interrupts sleep. Eventually, it affects confidence, health, and performance. Public scrutiny amplifies the burden. When someone becomes the subject of national discussion, many people see a headline. I see something else. I think about the psychological impact, regardless of who the person is or what profession they work in. There is still a human being reading those headlines. There is someone whose family is watching, whose colleagues are watching, whose children's friends or students may also be watching. We speak passionately about mental health in the Western world, yet when we see someone becomes the focus of public attention, compassion often disappears. This conversation becomes entertainment. Opinion replaces evidence. Algorithms reward outrage. People compete to produce the strongest reaction because a strong reaction attracts attention. The individual at the center of the story lives with the consequences long after everyone else has moved on. More than 1,100 Black professionals have contributed to my research. Many describe feeling that they had less room for error than their colleagues, not because they lacked ability, and it wasn't because they lacked qualifications. It was because they believed they would be judged differently. Whether that belief reflects reality in every situation is almost besides the point. Perception shapes behavior. If you believe one mistake will cost you more than someone else, you will prepare differently. You speak differently. You protect yourself. You become hypervigilant. That constant hypervigilance carries a cost, and that's the cost I call the excellence tax. Many organizations ask why talented people are leaving. Some assume people leave because of the workload. Others assume they leave because of salary. Those factors really do matter, but my research suggests there's another question leaders need to ask. How much psychological energy are people spending managing perception rather than doing their work? If talented professionals feel they must continually prove they belong, continually protect their credibility, and continually prepare for scrutiny, they are doing two jobs: the role they were employed to do and the emotional work required to survive. No organization benefits from that. If this resonates with you, I want you to remember something. Your professional role is important. Your reputation is important. So is your identity. When our identity becomes completely attached to our career, every criticism feels personal, every setback feels permanent, every mistake feels like it's the biggest mistake of your life. Protecting your well-being means building a life that is bigger than your job title. It means developing relationships, interests, and values that remain intact regardless of what happens to you at work. Because careers change, people move on, news cycle ends, your health has to remain. The excellence tax isn't simply about working harder. It's about carrying an invisible psychological burden that few people recognize. As leaders, colleagues, and members of society, we have a responsibility. We should expect accountability. We should expect high standards. We should also remember there is a human being behind every headline. Those ideas are not in conflict, they belong together. Thank you for watching. If this conversation resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if you'd like to explore the research in more depth, subscribe to the channel. Each week I'll be sharing evidence, practical strategies, and conversations to help you navigate the excellence tax without sacrificing your well-being. I'll see you in the next video.